Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I hope that you are having a great day. Thank you for joining me here on the African Diaspora News Channel, where you can find me Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And on my very own channel, the Demetra Kaye Show on YouTube and Facebook, Sunday through Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Sunday through Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Now, today we're going to spend some time talking about a California Black Caucus Democrat by the name of Mia Bonta. We've spoken about her before. We're going to speak about her some more. Fighting for illegal immigrants while Blacks are most homeless, especially in her district of Oakland, California. So we're going to get into, what's going on because they have implemented some new rules there in Oakland regarding homeless encampments and things like that. And as I saw the story, I was like, wow, what a shame, right? Because I know that is her district and, she's fighting for everybody else, but it seems the people in her district. So, of course, we'll get into that. Also, while we are waiting, I'm about to start sweating, y'all, but that's okay. Please join me along with the rest of the African Diaspora News Channel in Columbus, Ohio on May 23rd, where we're going to be there for the Black Expo. It's going to be a great time. I promise you that. Come on out so you can ask us questions and we can just vibe, right? Have a great conversation with one another. In order to do that, you need to go to OhioBlackExpo.com. Again, OhioBlackExpo.com to get your tickets. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be entertainment, music, food, which is, often my favorite part because I am so greedy, but that's okay. Also, you can find us. Well, I didn't put it up here, but we'll be in Canada July 25th for the ADNC Narrative Power Summit. Well, we'll be having another great conversation with you all. But if you want to get your tickets, go to African Diaspora News channel.org/Canada to get your ticket. I tried to remember that off the top of my head because I didn't put it up. Anyway, also we have an app, the African Diaspora News Channel app that you can go to your Google or your Apple Play Store to get. That is a Black app that is owned by us for you. As we have been told, we own less than 3% of the media. And I saw this story, just a real quick commercial break. BET, okay, that is not owned by us. That's owned by them people. They trying to bring Maury back. And the title of the show is something like who's the baby daddy or something like that. It's like, okay, BET, Black Entertainment Television, supposed to be for Black people. Now, y'all know Maury, right? He's the, you are not the father and all that other stuff, but he going to be on BET allegedly, right? From what I've seen the reports, trying to help people find who their baby daddy is. Anyway, when that's not owned by us, that's the kind of stuff you'll see. And even some of the stuff that's owned by us, you'll see a lot of foolishness. But anyway, get our app, please, if you don't have it. But if you do have it, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'll acknowledge everybody once I'm done with my soliloquy here. So basically what we got going on is Oakland, California has implemented a new rule. And let me put it up so y'all can see as I'm talking. So it's basically homeless encampment sweeps. And it says that on April 14th, which was yesterday, right? The Oakland City Council passed a strict new policy allowing city crews to dismantle homeless encampments and tow RVs without first offering alternative shelter. Now, the 5-1 vote marks a major shift away from prior COVID-era policies, enabling faster clearing of, and in some cases, immediate removal of tents. So basically, they're saying is we could come through and sweep your encampment up. Now, this is just a photo of one of them, right? And how apropos that it's there by the little Black Panther symbol. But they don't have to give you housing or nothing else. They can just sweep you up. Now, also per Supreme Court, they can also put you in jail if you don't comply. Okay, so you go from homeless to being in jail. Now, the key policies or details rather says no mandatory shelter offer. The city is no longer required to provide available housing or shelter to residents before clearing an encampment. While a week's notice is usually required, the city can clear sites with a shorter notice in emergency situations such as fires or criminal activity. So basically, they ain't even got to give you the week. They can say it's time to go right now. Okay. Now, the policy targets high sensitivity areas such as spaces near schools, businesses, and residential homes. The city must still follow protocols to collect and store personal belongings for up to 48 hours. Okay, hold on a second now. If I'm homeless and you're going to store my stuff for 48 hours, where am I going to come get it and take it to? You ain't got to give me nowhere to live, right? So you're going to store it for 48 hours, 2 days essentially. And then I'm going to come with my U-Haul and take it to my new apartment. It's just the foolishness of it all. Okay. Now it also says high sensitivity concerns. Cities officials cited the need to improve public safety, hygiene, and accessibility in areas with chronic dangerous encampments. Now, the decision aligns with the 2024 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that allows cities to ban encampments on public property, regardless of shelter availability. Now, proponents view the policy as crucial for restoring public spaces, improving sanitation, and enforcing safety standards. Opponents express concerns that the changes will force unhoused individuals out with nowhere to go, arguing that it penalizes the vulnerable, which I totally agree with all of that. Right now, I also agree that homeless encampments and things like that, it's very unsightly. Now, I'm from California, and sometimes I go to Los Angeles. And Los Angeles, if you've been there, especially, downtown or Skid Row is what they call it, it's been there for a long time. It is very unsightly. It does not smell good. And I'm not, bringing these details up to shame the homeless, right? And unfortunately, there's some things you don't want to see or step on. I'll just leave it at that, because like, where are they going to go to the restroom and clean up, right? They're homeless. So I get that whole thing, especially if you're a homeowner, you don't want to go outside and see that kind of stuff. So I get them removing it, but I don't understand not housing these people. Okay. Just saying you got to go. We don't know where you're going to go. Cause like, if I'm homeless, I'm probably just going to set up shop somewhere else and then you're going to clean. So it's just it's a vicious cycle. Now, as I was learning more about the story, I already knew the answer, but I also learned that over 50% of the homeless people there in Oakland, California is, you guessed it, Black. Okay. Now, per what they're saying, the last count that they did was in 2024. They said it was about 5,500 unhoused. That's the new term that they use, unhoused or homeless people, which I tend to think it's more. And they said of that is about 37 homeless encampments and people in their vehicles, right? So the encampments are like what you see, like the tents or the cardboard boxes and things like that. And a lot of homeless people live in their cars. So again, and they said a half of that, right? The 55 is Black. Okay. So again, I already knew that, but I had to go see for myself. Now, let's get to Miss Mia Bonta. Now, of course, I have showed y'all her before, and I'm going to show y'all in just a minute. But Mia Bonta is a Puerto Rican assembly member of the California Legislative Black Caucus, and just an assembly member in general. Now, we know that the job of the assemblymen, or people rather, is to basically introduce new laws, and they debate those things, and then they, vote on these new laws and things like that. Now, the Oakland homeless situation is a city council issue. She's an assemblywoman, so she's an assemblywoman for the state, right? But she works in tandem with the city council members. So she is kind of like the liaison between the state and the people. Okay, just want to point that out. Now, again, it's been there since 2021. Now, I've been telling y'all about her lately because this is just one of the things that she's doing. Now, she wants to make it to where funds come from taxpayers there in California to help cover legal costs for illegal immigrants, right? Now, again, Assembly Bill 2600, proposed by Assembly member Mia Bonta from Oakland, would expand access to publicly funded attorneys for individuals facing immigration proceedings in California. So again, when I hear those things, I'm like, really, lady? That's what you're doing? Again, she's a part of the California Legislative Black Caucus, Puerto Rican. She talks about her ancestors going through the transatlantic slave trade from Ghana, right? That's what she talks about. So she's part of the California Legislative Black Caucus, but this is what she is really focusing on, is getting California taxpayers to pay for legal assistance to help illegal immigrants to stay here in the country. Okay. So again, when I hear that kind of stuff, I'm like, that's what you got time to do when you got these people in your district that are homeless, and now they're sweeping up their encampments, essentially their houses, right? Or their vehicles, because a lot of times those cars don't work, or maybe they're in an RV or something like that, but you're trying to get money to help illegal immigrants stay here, get lawyers. Like, what about the homeless people? Because a lot of those homeless people out there, maybe they got evicted, and they could have used a lawyer to help them stay in their homes. And it's just a lot. And if you know anything about California, it's super expensive to live there. They said, I think you need, the last time I heard, I don't know, almost $200,000, depending on where you live, right? Especially up north where Oakland is, just to live comfortably. Okay, that's a lot of money. California it's almost too expensive to live there, as we have heard all of these reports coming out how California, especially Los Angeles, is having a mass exodus of people just like, hey, I'm tapping out. I can't be here no more because I cannot afford to live. So how many of those people maybe have needed some legal help? But she wants to help illegal immigrants try to figure out how they gonna stay in the country, even though they're here illegally. Okay, now most recently, she is in a lot of hot water with MAGA. Okay, now why is she in hot water with MAGA? Well, I'm gonna read it to you. Just give me 1 second because I lost my page. Okay, so she started the Stop Nick Shirley Act, or she's trying to anyway. Okay, so y'all know Nick Shirley. He's the white guy that goes around. He infamously went and busted the Somali community there in Minnesota, where he went to some daycare. It was a learning center, but it said Learning Center. They misspelled it and all that. And so he is accredited with blowing the lid off the fraud and the $90 million, whatever it was, fraud scheme. So he has taken himself to California, where he has allegedly found some more fraud with the hospice and Medicare type situation. So basically, she's trying to implement AB 2624, the Stop Nick Shirley Act. That's the name of it. Is the nickname critics have given it. Now introduced by California Assemblywoman Mia Bonta in 2026, so recently, the bill is officially designed to protect immigrant service organizations and their workers from harassment, threats, and doxing by creating new privacy protections. What the bill will do is create a confidentiality program for immigrant support service providers, allow organizations to keep names, addresses, and identifying information private, allow individuals or organizations to request removal of videos or recordings showing their staff or location, potentially penalize people who publish videos that reveal protected information. Now it applies to employees, volunteers, contractors connected to immigrant service organizations. So basically, these immigrant support workers, they essentially help immigrants, a lot of times illegal acclimate into the country or the city by helping them try to find a pathway to citizenship and get them all these programs, just, to help them out type of stuff. Again, they are here illegally. Now, it is controversial because critics, including some lawmakers and journalists, argue that the bill could limit investigative journalism, which Nick Shirley is, right? In a sense, he's a YouTuber, but he's kind of elevated a little bit. They really love him on the right and all of that. Now, it would prevent citizen journalists from exposing fraud. That's what the opponents are saying, rather. Now, allow organizations to demand the removal of videos, even filmed in public, because you can film in public, impose fines or legal consequences on people documenting wrongdoing. Now, the supporters say, hey, it's going to protect the workers from harassment and threats, prevent doxing and intimidation, and protect community organizations serving immigrants. Okay. So they're saying we're okay with this bill because we want to make sure that these workers are allowed to help these immigrants, a lot of times illegal. Okay. Because that's what we talking about when we talking about her, right? Help these illegal immigrants do what they need to do. And we don't want cameras and journalists documenting this stuff. It's like, well, why not? If it's a public thing, why don't you want it to be documented? Why? Because you don't want to be exposed, right? You don't want the word to get out, especially to us as Black Americans, that y'all are serving illegal immigrants more than you're serving the people that, vote you in office, or the people that are residents in your district. You don't want, because that's what I think, right? But I'm gonna show y'all her explanation, because she has got a lot of people on her bumper, and she's like, okay, wait a minute.
Folks, it's been a day, and I'm going to do something that I don't usually do and respond to some MAGA misinformation. Elon Musk and right-wing agitators are intentionally misrepresenting my legislation, AB 2624, because they believe that people who have dedicated their careers to serving their community should be silenced and forced into the shadows. So let's talk about what my bill actually does. It would add immigrant service providers to the state's Safe at Home program. This proven program already covers domestic violence victims, reproductive care, and gender-affirming care workers, among others. People who work to help immigrant communities should not have to fear being doxxed for doing so. And my bill and the Safe at Home program defines this as sharing personal information with the intent to incite imminent great bodily harm or place someone in objectively reasonable fear for their personal safety. AB 2624 extends this existing tool to immigrant service providers, shielding them from having their personal information publicly exposed and giving them real legal tools to prevent and respond to targeted harassment. If MAGA can't tell the difference between journalism and doxing, that's on them. Because under my bill, there are no provisions related to journalism or fraud. This bill does not infringe on the First Amendment. But sharing the name and address of a front desk worker to intimidate them out of doing their job isn't reporting. It isn't investigating fraud. It's wrong, and California should hold firm on the truth. I'm going to continue advancing legislation rooted in East Bay values, no matter who tries to silence our voices. Others can legislate by tweet. I'll stick to the policy.
Okay, so she's basically saying it's not that I want to hinder them. I don't want them to dox people, and I agree with that. I don't think people should be doxxed if they're doing their job. But again, I just scratched my head like, really, lady? That's what you can come up with. Now, mind you, this is a new thing of kind of him going to California because he's gone other places. And so I guess they want to, and in California, especially when it comes to illegal immigration, they move quickly, right? They want to make sure that the illegal immigrants are not bothered or when I say bothered, like with ICE and all that, they fight against ICE. And so she's coming up with this law. And a lot of people I think this is kind of unnecessary. Yeah, I don't think you should dox people. I think there's probably already anti-doxing laws and things, but to make this Nick Shirley, law, it's kind of crazy, because at the end of the day, you're still going through extra measures to protect illegal immigrants. And let's just call it what it is. But again, that woman, Mia Bonta, she's part of the California Legislative Black Caucus. And y'all know what they did, right? They 2024, August 31st to be exact, they sabotaged reparations for Black Californian descendants of slavery. They were supposed to take two bills to the floor, one dealing with the Freedmen's Bureau and one with the money. And they did not take the bill to Gavin Newsom at all to either veto or pass it. They just did not bother. When I say they, I know I talk about Assemblyman Isaac Bryan a lot, and I'm going to continue to talk about him, but there's a whole lot of them involved in the sabotaging of it, and she was one of them. Now, of course, everybody was mad and this, that, and the other. And so she decided, along with Corey Jackson and another gentleman by the name of Kevin McCarthy, to go on a listening tour. That's what they called it. Now it says Black Caucus members weigh next steps for reparations in California. Again, this was right after they sabotaged it. It says caucus members are on a statewide listening tour after the state assembly failed to bring up two reparations bills for a floor vote last month. Now, she said, let me get to it regarding that, because she made a statement. And she says, I got out of it what I expected. We have a lot of diverse thoughts and opinions about how to proceed. It was helpful to hear directly from people without the constraints of hearing rooms and formalities. I heard a lot of frustration and concerns. I also got out of it a call to action, as we shared, to do better. And I am certainly committed to doing that. It's like, really, lady? A listening tour? Now, mind you, this listening tour came from, people being mad that they sabotaged reparations. And so they went around the state, I guess, sitting down and talking to Black folks who are like, wait a doggone minute. Well, what happened? So they're listening now. Now they're listening, and I guess they're saying, well, we understand what you're saying. We understand your frustrations, and we're just here to listen. It's like, damn, listen. Like, we don't have nothing to talk about. Y'all did a study, for 4 years since 2020, spent millions of dollars on this reparation study, which it did say that the amount that each Californian descendant of slavery should get about $1.2 million. That's the number that came up with, but they didn't even, think it was worthy of doing that. So they thought, well, hell, we'll just go around the country spending more, or not the country, but the state, and spend more taxpayer money so y'all could just listen to us, right? Or we can listen to y'all and pretend. Now, mind you, that was 2024, it's 2026. And what we got out of it is a hair crown act. You can wear your hair to work, how you want to wear it, an apology, and some other stuff that's not really meant just for Black descendants of slavery there in California. It's kind of an everybody thing. And we really haven't heard anything since. Now, we've heard Gavin Newsom say things like, well, it's more than a check. That's the kind of stuff they say. It's just education, and it's the apologies and all this other foolishness. But yeah, that's what she decided to spend her time on, as she helped sabotage reparations for Black Californians. A listening tour. I personally wouldn't have showed up to that. There was some people who did, and I get it, wanting to get their frustrations out. But see, you go hear us loud and clear when we vote you out of office. That would have been my attitude, right? Because she has been in there since 2021. She's up for re-election again in November. And as I think about that, the people in her district, they should really pay attention to the things that she's championing. She's championing all for illegal immigrants that cannot vote for her. Right now, I don't know what's going on with the people in her district, if they like her or not. We know that, especially on the state and local level, that it's the lowest voter turnout. And in some cases, I saw, oh gosh, where was this election at? Oh, I don't remember, but somewhere yesterday, I saw where it was little as on one end, 800 votes. Right. And in most cities, they got more than 800 people or a couple thousand people. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times people don't show up for those things. So people like her, she just kind of gets in a sense, by default or whatever it is. And a lot of times, a lot of people just don't know the things that they're up to, which is why I like to talk about these things. I know they're not necessarily sexy, or salacious, but it's the things that people need to know. Like, we need to know what your assembly people, your city council, your DAs, your judges, your sheriffs, we need to know what they're up to, the things that they're championing. Because when it comes to election season, I saw somebody post Karen Bass, right? The mayor of Los Angeles. She's up for re-election, and they showed her filling in potholes. She's filling up potholes with dirt. It's like, is that your job, to fill up potholes? Or are you doing it for, photo ops? And I've seen her pop up a lot on my timelines, all these photo ops, and she's getting these endorsements from this and that. And, oh, Karen Bass, she's such a this, that, and the other. But from what I understand, she ain't polling that well. So it's like, I guess it remains to be seen, whether she'll get back in office in November. But potholes, lady, that's what the people get, is potholes. So yeah. But even with Mia Bonta, maybe she just kind of figures, I'm a shoe-in, right? I'll just get in there anyway. But again, she's championing illegal immigration and legal services, and she's trying to keep journalists away from trying to figure out what is going on. Because my thing is, California's got a lot of fraud going on. And her husband, right, Rob Bonta, he's the attorney general or something like that for California. So he's the top cop, right? He's what Kamala used to be. And so, he had to announce, there's some fraud going on here. We did discover it. And Nick Shirley is like, you didn't discover it, I did. You guys were saying I was lying. Even Gavin Newsom was like, oh, he's lying. He was tweeting all over. Oh, it's not true. And then Mia Bonta's husband, Rob Bonta, had to say, yeah, it's true. There's some fraud, and we need to figure out where this money is, right? So, but the solution basically is, because as I always talk about, she as essentially is continuing to practice benign neglect. a non-interventionist approach, suggesting that reducing active government interference or oversight in a specific issue can yield better, more natural results, which basically means we know that there's issues within the Black community. We'll ignore it. We'll continue to champion illegal immigration things in any and every way, shape, or form, even though they cannot vote for us. But in a sense, we know that the Black community, they'll vote for us more than anybody else. So, hopefully their issues will solve themselves, like the homeless thing. Maybe poof, a house will just come out of nowhere, and Black folks, who are the most homeless population disproportionately, right? In California, especially in her district, maybe they're thinking that maybe somehow they'll find a house. We'll just ignore it. We'll continue to use money and resources and time to go fight for people who came over here illegally, not really fighting for the people who are in our district, right? But the other problem is this, and I always talk about this, is this is what we do, especially in our community. We vote blue no matter who. We're voting for everyone else, right? Again, when we vote for the Democrats, especially, our votes help them go do for people like the illegal immigrants or other communities, right? And they say, hey, sucker, we'll see you next time when I don't know, we need some twerking to be done. And then we vote for oppression, because if you don't think being the most homeless population is not oppression, I don't know what to tell you, right? But we don't vote for people who are going to say, hey, you know what, let's get these Black folks up off the street. I know there's other homeless people out there, but us more so than anybody. Let's vote for somebody who's going to say, yeah, I don't want to spend my time championing things for illegal immigration. I want to spend my time making sure that Black folks have a place to live. Because they said, especially too, and that's kind of where some of the fraud is going on in California. They said that 40% of the people that are housed in, some of these things, especially in Los Angeles, these Karen Bass homeless initiatives, they don't stay because it's not really necessarily long-term solutions. They're like hotel rooms and things like that. So, I would say that's a lot of oppression going on. And then most definitely we got to stop listening to Shields. Stop listening to them tell us to just show up and vote just because the ancestors did it. And, like Al Sharpton, as I talked about yesterday, said that we ain't voting hard enough, I guess. We're not voting for the right people in office that would get us reparations and all this other stuff, which I debunked is a complete lie, right? But a lot of us, when I say a lot of us, I mean collectively, we listen to them because we think that they are the Black thought of the community, right? Well, if Al Sharpton said it, it must be true. If Roland Martin said it, it's got to be true, okay? And I'm not saying that they're lying, but it's a lot of gaslighting, I will say, and guilting. They kind of like finagle some of the numbers and the this, that, and the other. And when I hear them do that, I'm like, what they got to do with us? How does that have anything to do with us when we are still at the bottom of everything? And it's largely, well, I'd say mostly, I guess, the way we vote. Now, the solution to that is very simple. We have to stop doing that. We have to vote for a candidate, whether it's on the Republican or Democrat side. Vote for a candidate that's going to consider us too, not only, but two, right? Gone are the days where we just show up and vote just because the ancestors did it or because it's blue. We need to always think about what's in it for Black Americans? What's in it for Black Americans to do that? If the answer is nothing, then you ain't getting nothing from me. It has to be that simple. It's not, well, let's show up next time or this time, and then we got to hold them accountable, because that's what they like to tell us too. Just do it this time, okay? Do it this time. And then when they get in the office, because that's what they told us about Kamala. When she gets in there, we got to hold her accountable. Well, how's that going to work? Right? That's like, you giving your child a scoop of ice cream and say, okay, I'm going to give you some ice cream. And then after you eat the ice cream, you need to go do your chores. They eat the ice cream. It's like, go do your chores. Do I have to? Instead of making them do the chores, and then they get the ice cream, right? So we got to stop listening to them, and we got to start voting responsibly. And most definitely, we got to start practicing group economics. I know we're doing it a little bit more so, but we got to do it even more, because we give 97% of almost $2 trillion away. And then we talk about, what about us? Imagine, as they said, if we kept 10% of the money that we give away, we can solve our own homeless issues, right? We can build our own communities, housing, permanent housing, right? Not the little funky hotel rooms that they got, but permanent housing for our people. You know, I often have heard people say it's so strange when you see a homeless Asian. Isn't it? Do you guys find that to be strange? When you see a homeless Asian person on the street, which I can't remember the last time I've seen one, but for those who do see it, it's like, golly, it's almost like spotting a unicorn, you know, and you wonder why. And it's usually because they got their stuff together. I'm not saying that they're all wealthy, but in a sense, they kind of like, well, we're going to, solve our own issues. I know they get a lot of government help and things like that. But even with that, they're like, okay, bet. Let's, do A, B, and C, whether we all shack up together in one house or we get our people off the street. But yeah, it's extremely rare. So I like to get to the point where it's rare where you see a Black person homeless on the street. I'd love to see that day where we don't even have to have these conversations anymore about us being the most homeless. But when I see Mia Bonta, who is, again, sits on the California Legislative Black Caucus, which they are supposed to legislate for Black Californians, and I hear her running around for illegal immigrants, that makes me mad. But it makes me more mad that a lot of us will show up to keep her in office so she can continue to kick us in the tailbone as she goes and help people who came over here illegally. So anyway, let me see what y'all got to say. And thank y'all for bearing with me. I'll be honest with you, I am super tired. I got like 30 minutes of sleep last night. It's just 30 minutes is all I got. So this is coffee inspired right now. Valerie, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Albert, what is going on with you? Always nice to see you. I know you said that you will be in Ohio, so cannot wait to say hello. Christopher, what's going on with you? Says that's why I left California. No opportunities for Black Americans. It used to be. I'm California born and raised. I was born in Northern California, right? Oakland, essentially, and I was raised in Southern California. And it didn't used to be that way. I mean, you could just get a job. It was so easy to do. I was telling somebody the other day, 1995, I made $9 an hour, right? I was like 23, 24, $9 an hour. I had a child, and I was able to pay my rent. Okay. It was only like 300 and something, but still, right? Had a car payment. I was able to keep the lights on, food on the table. You could do $9 an hour, and it wasn't even a full-time job. Okay. Like, of course, the cost of living was a lot better then and things like that. But, it was a pretty good job for the time or whatever. But those jobs are harder to find. And we're hearing a lot of stories of a lot of Black folks in California saying there's a lot of gatekeeping going on, especially with the Latino community, because they get in these positions of power, whether it's a managerial position, and they gatekeep. They're like, no, we're not hiring. But then you look, all through the establishment and you see all eight people up in there, right? So that's something we got to consider too. That's one of the reasons why it's hard, especially as a Black American, to stay in California. I'd love to go back, but I'm not going to go back to be on a stroll, for lack of better words. Hey, Troy, how you doing? Hope that you're doing well. Cloudness, what's going on with you? Sister Sunlight, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a beautiful day. Mike Nice, what is going on? Rodney, how are you doing? Well, thank you, Eddie. Yeah, my birthday was on Monday, but I'll take some more birthday wishes. Thank you. Let's see. Extreme, what's going on? Says, make these sellouts pay at the polls. You would think. But that don't always happen. Like, does Mia Bonta seem like she's concerned at all that she's going to lose her job? She don't seem like she's concerned. I mean, she keeps on finding different legislations, right, to help illegal immigrants. Like, I don't think I'm fighting hard enough for illegal immigrants. Let me see what else I can do, right? And again, it ain't even necessarily that's Black folks that's on her bumper about, the Nick Shirley thing. It's the MAGA crowd. They're like, what? Like, I cannot go anywhere on social media and not see them crashing out about her wanting to do that. Because it does make you wonder, well, what are you hiding? I get the doxing. I don't think anybody should be doxed, right? They should be safe. But what are you trying to hide necessarily? Because you weren't doing that before he showed up to California. You didn't come up with this Nick Shirley law. So what are you trying to hide? I don't know. It just makes me wonder. Let's see. Vanessa, what is going on with you? Hope you're having a great day. Sister Shirley in the building. How are you? Who else we got? Portia, how you doing? And King Noble. Rasul, what's going on? It says safety, hygienic places, no matter what is the lowest expectation. So you talking about the homeless situation? Yeah, in regards to the hygiene. Yeah, I mean, but again, like, thank God. I always say there, but for the grace of God, there go I. And what I mean by that is I've never been homeless. I haven't even been close to homeless. Okay. Even when my house burnt down, okay, like 2000, I think it was 11, 12, something like that. I had a house fire. Okay. A house fire where I escaped with my very life at 3 in the morning. The whole house, everything destroyed. My truck destroyed. Now, of course, you got insurance, right? But I didn't have a place to stay for a while. I stayed with my mama, right? I was like 40 something or whatever. Yeah, guess about that. I'm 55 now. Yeah, 40 something. I was staying with my mama, but I wasn't homeless though, right? I had places I could go. So what I mean is, so I've never been homeless or close to being homeless or having to sleep in my car or nothing like that. But when I think about it, even just for a second, I'm like, what is that like? To have to sleep on the street or even in your car. Like, I got to get up in the middle of the night, sometimes a couple times, to go to the restroom, right? So I couldn't imagine having to do that homeless. And then so you're trying to go, I don't know, to a Starbucks or something like that. Hey, can I use your bathroom now? So then what do you do? Right? I'm not trying to really go there, but what do you do? Now, I know some homeless people that may have like a Planet Fitness, type situation where they go take showers and stuff like that. But some people can't afford the $10 for a Planet Fitness membership or whatever it is. So it's a lot to consider. It just needs to be fixed. We should not be in a country where people are homeless when we're giving all this money away. And then you have all these illegal immigrants come over, invited by the Democrats. And then you have, and then as you're going to go legislate on stuff, you're going to step over homeless people and then complain about it. It just like that. I was gonna say another word, but I'm a lady on here anyway. It makes me very mad. That makes me mad. And I would not vote for a person who is doing that. I wouldn't. Let's see. Vanessa says they're not really trying to help anyone. Some of them have gym memberships and clean up there. Yeah, some of them. And I should have read your comments. Some of them do, right? But not all of them. Not all of them are able to do that. Like, I go to Planet Fitness. That's what my membership. And sometimes I see homeless people and they're leaving the gym and maybe they've had a shower or something. Not too long ago, I pulled up in the parking lot and I saw them, some of them leaving, and I just cried. And like that, it just really, it gets to me. It like made me really sad to see that. It's like, man, I just got out of a warm bed, right? And all praises due to Allah for that. I got out of a warm bed. I jumped into a car. I got to put on what clothes I want to put on. I got to make me, a coffee or whatever it was, and I got to drive here. And they're gonna leave the gym and go where? I just sat there and I just cried for like 5 minutes. It's just I don't understand it. I don't. So yeah. We shouldn't be in a country where we see that kind of stuff. Gaga, how you doing? Says they don't want to see that kind of stuff, but they vote for that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, those politicians don't live in that area. A lot of them don't. But then, when it starts to encroach upon the nice neighborhoods, especially there in Los Angeles, in the Venice Beach area, Santa Monica, Venice Beach, you literally could be driving down the street and it's like a bunch of homeless encampments. And then on like the other side of the street, just pristine. But eventually that starts to, bleed over, because what happens? You have more and more homeless people, more and more people who cannot afford to live, right? And homeless people that get demonized. But the story they don't tell about homeless people is that a lot of them are working. They're working homeless people. There's a lot of people who are homeless and they go into high-rise buildings all the time, have nice jobs. They just can't afford to stay in a house. So they live in their car and sometimes with their children, but they're working, It's not always, they're on drugs and they don't want to work. There's a lot of people just like, I don't have a place to go. I don't have a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister or a friend that'll allow me and my children or my husband or whatever to come live. So we got to live in a car. We'll go to Planet Fitness, take a shower, drop the kids off to school, go to work, pick them up, and then we'll spend the rest of the time in the car. So yeah. Uh, Julian, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Pros, what's going on? Says Trump said America is donated 119 billion to has donated 119 billion to Ukraine. God, America, yeah. See stuff like that. 119 billion donated, given. That's what donation means, right? I gave you that to another country while you got people sleeping on the streets, and then you got these other politicians who will say Trump, 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 but then they crashing out for illegal immigrants. So y'all all suck. Y'all all are terrible people. All of you politicians on both sides of the aisle are terrible people. Where you're giving that kind of money to a different country, but then you on the other side of the aisle, you'll legislate for illegal immigrants, and you got people in your district sleeping on the street and that are being harassed, and their encampments and everything that they have being swept up. Right? You think about a sweep, it's exactly that. They're not saying, okay, well, let's put this over here, and then okay, we're gonna put that there, and we're gonna make sure. No, they're so it's crazy. Zenith, how you doing? Says California is cooked. It is. It is. And I know they're trying to get a new governor. They may have a new Republican governor. Some people are saying it's probably for the best because the Democrats, what they have done in California is it's insane. It's insane. I mean, I would say more so than anywhere, California Democrats, they really hate American citizens. They're all about the immigrant. California is just like I said, when I go back home, I oftentimes I keep saying I don't even recognize California anymore. I don't. Um, let's see, skipping on down, y'all, so I can make sure I get everybody. Kanisha, what's going on? It says 11 a.m. current time. Well, it was right. Ancestors shut her down and help help our people get off the streets and provide your comment cut off, but yeah, well, we could shut her down by not voting for her. We are whoever in her district, right? Albie Chill says the more and more they keep talking, the more and more of our people are being awakened. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep talking about it. Like I said, I know there's a lot of salacious things I could talk about, and I'll be honest with y'all. I was up, I could not sleep last night because I was looking for something to talk about. And I saw a lot of kind of things that maybe people will find to be kind of frivolous. I could talk about those things, and it'd probably be a lot easier for me to do that. I just kind of want to raise the bar a little bit and just kind of bring awareness because a lot of people don't know these things are going on. So I literally fell asleep at like 4 or something after I found this story, and I was like, okay, I'll lay down for a couple of hours, and that couple of hours went like that. I didn't even go make it to the gym, but I wanted to make sure I kind of talk about something that is of value. So yeah. Jen says, and how you doing? Says, should blacks open their doors to homeless blacks? I can't ask others to do what I haven't done. We all pay taxes, but the community is suffering and needs our help. Yeah, I think that would be ideal, but we all know somebody who needs some help. And we should do our best to try to help them. If you're able, we should try to help. I often tell people, and anybody who knows me know that anytime I carry cash, I don't spend it. I give it away, right? I purposely keep cash in my purse so I can just give it to people. I don't know how much it'll help them in the moment, but it'll I don't know. I just try to do my part. I know also people are probably like, well, I don't want to bring strangers into my house. And I get that. I don't think you should probably do that as you don't know who these people are, but I get the premise of it. If I have an extra bedroom or something, maybe I can help somebody. I would suggest you do that to people Like, think about it. If we, especially in our community, were to group up with each other, right? Like a lot of other communities do, they're, 10 in a house, a 2-3 bedroom house, and they pool all their resources together. So if we did that, then I think that would help solve the homelessness issue, especially in our community. But we're not very good at that, like we used to be. Like, I'm 55. I got to get used to saying that now. I remember being in a house with a lot of my cousins, and I had 3 other siblings, so I knew what that was like to be under the same roof. Even with some of my nieces and nephews, I call them my children. I raised some of my nieces and nephews, and we were all under one roof and things like that. So I know how to do that. So we got to get back to that, and I think that would help solve the homelessness issue. Stop trying to have a 5-bedroom monstrosity, to yourself. Oh, it's just me and my cat. or whatever. It's like you got a 5-bedroom house and you got family members that are struggling. To me, I would just think that y'all would all get together, share the load, and then, you know what I mean? So maybe that we could start doing that again. Skipping down. Salo, what's going on with you? It says they scamming. Okay, Tito, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Sherry, what's up? It says this is exactly why Black Americans need legislative representation and organizational leadership, not name changes. I totally agree with you. But we have to be aware as to why we need these things. Again, not listening to shills just telling you, oh, well, there's a Democrat and there was a Republican and you need to vote for the Democrat. Well, why? Why do I need to vote for the Democrat? What are they doing? What have they been up to, right? Like, we need the fact sheet on what they've been up to. How do they legislate? Like I said, if you think I'm lying one day, just think of your, let's say, your local Democrat or even your local Black Democrat. Go look up what they've been doing. You're going to see terms like supporting, championing, filing, but rarely like they got stuff done, especially when it comes to you and those things that they're championing, supporting and things like that. It usually includes everybody else. I just look it up, and if you think I'm lying, those are the terms you're going to see. And then when you listen to some of these shills, that's the terms they'll use. Oh, well, they supported the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Did it get passed? Well, no, but they supported it. Okay. Anamine, I hope I said that right, but I didn't. How you doing? It said scored a 99% on the North Los Angeles County Regional Center for a Service Coordinator position. Had a great interview. Went to UCSB and have a degree in sociology and a minor in psychology. Did you get the job? Because I know you said you passed everything. It says, and did, oh, okay, there you go, the rest of it. And did not get hired. Guess my last name should have been Rodriguez. BS, nobody did as great as me. I know it. California is, it is. I know people, a lot of Black Californians who try to get jobs and things like that, and to no avail. And usually when I ask them, well, who was doing the hiring, it's usually the same answer. A friend of mine, he has 33 acres in Los Angeles, and the Inland Empire, California. He has been told to do this paperwork, do that paperwork, do this paperwork, and he's done it. And they keep saying, oh, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. I said, can I ask you who you're dealing with when you go to this office? He says they're Latino. I said, So not only are they gatekeeping, they're making it hard for you to be able to do things on your land. 33 acres, and they hate that. They hate when they see, a Black man with that kind of land. Oh yeah, we're gonna make it hard for him to do anything on it. It's crazy. Doug, did I say hi to you? If not, hello. Let's see, skipping down. Ben Bark, what's going on? Says Mexicans are pushing Black and white people out of California systematically. Yes, it's not just Black folks, it's white folks as well. Like I said, when I go back home, I rarely see white people. I guess you'd have to go somewhere like Orange County or something like that. But I don't see as many white people when I go back home. I see Asians and I see Hispanics. So yeah. And the legislature there, they're making it easy for that to happen. Smokis, I hope I said that right. How you doing? Tafoya, what's going on with you? Says I ain't voting no more. Well, vote on the state and local level, but vote for people who are going to be conducive for you, because that's how your Mia Bontas and those people get in office, because we don't show up. And so there's a very low voter turnout. Go vote for somebody who's going to come as close to what you need, or that's not going to be adverse to you. See, Mia is adverse to Black folks. She sits on the California Legislative Black Caucus as a Puerto Rican woman who touts, her ancestors have ties to the transatlantic slave trade, but yet she advocates for illegal immigrants. So, vote for her opponent if they about something. Like Isaac Bryan, he's being challenged by a brother Billion Godson, who's actually, a true soldier out there doing the work in District 55. So if you live in Los Angeles, District 55, and you see Billion Godson on the ballot, put a check mark there. That's the one that's going to do the work, not Isaac Bryan that helped sabotage reparations for Black Californians. Eric, how you doing? Says it's because she's fighting for the majority in her eyes that can really put up numbers for her on election day. I get that. But if you look at the poll numbers, the Latino community don't vote like we do. They're like, again, 50-50, 49, 51, something like that. But they don't vote into the 80s and 90s like we do. So I personally don't understand that. And the people that she's championing for, they can't vote. Not yet. But I hear what you're saying, though. They're thinking, I guess, maybe by osmosis, if we help their community, then they'll vote for us. But a lot of let's say Chicanos and things like that, Mexican Americans, a lot of them don't come for that illegal immigration either. You know, or immigrants who came here legally. They said we have to do it the hard way or get it out the mud. So why should people come over here and cut the line? Believe it or not, a lot of them, and that's why they vote the way they do. A lot of them are really conservative. They're like, okay, well, who's gonna keep this illegal immigration down? That's what we're gonna vote for. But us, we vote against what's good for us. But they're like, I'm not for this illegal immigration either, because a lot of them are citizens, right? Beverly, what's going on? It says I've registered, but so far nothing. Okay. Fred, how you doing? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sherry, what's going on? Says I think I'm finally waking my husband up. Woohoo! See, you just got to keep talking, right? Lovingly, not you better. I know that you don't, but I'm just saying, because a lot of times we think if we're forceful, then people will get it. Like, your Rollins and your Al Sharptons and all them cussing people out. You mother, woo, 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 kiss my, yang, yang, yang. They think that's how you're going to get toward to people. See, I'll tune you out. That's what I'll do. But, you just keep having these conversations subtle. Hey, did you know? Did you know that there's a assemblywoman there in California who's wanting you as a taxpayer to pay for the legal services of illegal immigrants? Did you know that? See, because when I had those conversations with people, they were like, I didn't know that. Like, I'm talking about some staunch, like triple OG Democrats, right? I'm having these conversations with them. They're like, what? Are you for real? Yes. You didn't know? No, no. Oh, yeah. And they be mad. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that. But see, if you say, well, stop voting blue no matter who, you got to give them a reason why. Give us some examples. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah, I'll be chill. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna stick out my arm. I'm gonna take the infusion. Y'all remember that? I'm gonna find that one day for y'all, so y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey, Beverly, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, skipping down. Shan, how you doing? Says the owner doing that because the limits is coming to California in the following years. That's all why they're bought the homeless period. Okay. Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's Maybelline. I can't make sense of the comment, but how you doing? Chill J, what's going on? Says I ain't voting unless a certified FBA rise. No cap, squabble up, world. I mean, I get what you're saying, but see who's the better option. I'm not saying we're gonna get everything, but on a state and local level, they have a direct effect on us. So we let people like your Mia Bontas, your Isaac Bryans, and all them make it, then they continue to do what they're doing. Right now, some tells me if a Republican gets in as the governor in California, I think they're gonna probably put a halt to a lot of that because Greg Abbott here, who was the governor of Texas, he let Harris County know that I'm going to keep $110, I think it's $1 million, maybe $110 million from y'all if you guys do not cooperate with ICE, because they had this ordinance to where the police they're supposed to wait before they cooperate with ICE. And Greg Abbott said, nah, y'all need to scrap that law. If you want this money for FIFA, right, the World Cup that's coming here, then y'all need to work with ICE. If you don't, then y'all better get it out the mud on your own. So now the mayor's like, well, at first I agree with that, but now, yeah, we don't have $110 million. So yeah, we need to work with ICE, right? Again, ICE's job is to make sure people who are here illegally, they go home. So, but a Democratic governor probably is not going to do that, Let's see. I think I got everybody so far. Latachi, what's going on? It says, all I got to say is they don't really care about us. Facts. Valerie, thank you so much for that. Love and appreciate you. Says, I believe the playbook remains in use. There is a concerted effort to hamstring FBA socio-economically, politically. There's a bit of a social engineering in place. It's been that way. Oh, definitely. But we got to stop helping them do that, right? And I know voting, we hear about the couch, but especially on the state and local level, you got to show up. because she'll get in by default and continue on with the destruction of Black Americans uh, by proxy, I guess. Too tall, shorty. That's funny. How you doing? Oh, well, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. I'll receive it. Nubian King, how you doing? Says, isn't it time to stop worrying about these foreigners and start doing for self? Yes. Says my peeps have been begging this government for crumbs for over 60 years. Boycott these demons and do for self. That's it. You know what? We could have just did the whole show on that, but I totally agree with you. Luke Skywalker, how you doing? Says yeah, they be having to do that on the street as well, and like you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to go into too much detail with that, but yeah. And they said too in Los Angeles that I think the bubonic plague or something was on the rise because of that kind of stuff. They like to say that plagues and diseases and things that were kind of extinct are coming back. You know, different pests and stuff. It's like, well, what do you expect to happen? These people, they can't use the restroom. They're gonna use it where they can. And then the cold, but y'all know the cold part. The cold part is if they get caught using the restroom outside, they could be charged as a sex offender. Did y'all know that? I know a young man. He's a little older now, but back in the day, I know a young man that happened to him when he was 18 years old. Was using the restroom outside, and a white woman and her daughter walked by and saw him. She called the police. And they charged him as a sex offender. And I met him. He was homeless, and he would usually go to the church and things like that to get something to eat. But it was like the day after Thanksgiving, so the church was closed or something like that. And so he was hungry. And I, got him something to eat and things like that. And I was talking to him. I was like, can you go to the shelter? It wasn't that far. He said, no, I can't go to the shelter because as a sex offender, they have children there and you can't be in there. And he says, the church, they can't let me go in there either because of the kids and things like that. So he's literally homeless on the street. Yeah, I think he was probably, and he went to jail. He did some prison time because of that. So that happened when he was 18. I think he was 23 or so at the time. He says, my grandmother is in Atlanta, but my probation officer won't let me leave the state. So a whole set registered, for using the restroom outside. So imagine how many people that happened to. They're like, where am I going to go? And somebody called the police on them and, ruin their whole life, have to register for something like that for the rest of your life. You'll always have to explain that. And when you try to get a job, people don't care that, well, you were just using the restroom, which is not rare. People do. You won't get that far on a job application if you have to put, I'm a felon, I'm a registered. The conversation don't even start, right? So there's a lot of things when you think about being homeless or, having to use the restroom outside, the things that could be attached to that. Very sad situation. And I told him, I said, I hope you're able to get to your grandma, where, you'll be around family and things like that. So Sheba, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And again, unfortunately, I'm not going to beat the comment section, but I'll be back here tomorrow to have another great conversation with you all. Hey, Mr. Norris, how you doing? Says 8 million people worldwide die because they can't afford to live. Yeah. And especially here in the United States, it just shouldn't be that way. All the money we give away, all of the resources we give to everybody else. And you hear stories about people going to bed hungry, homeless. It's very heartbreaking. And that's why I always say, really before I leave, I always pray to God, give it to me, whatever it is, just give me so much money to where I can help people. Cause I would do it. I see and hear about people have some like Elon Musk and things like that. The money he has, he could solve all these things. It's just greed, right? Or a lot of celebrities. I understand that's their money and stuff, but man, y'all never spend all that money. You'll never spend all that money in several lifetimes. And it would be hard for me to have that kind of wealth and drive down the street and see homeless people or hear stories where people, the children are going to bed hungry. I wouldn't even enjoy the money at all. So yeah, I pray to God every day, give it to me. Give it to me. And I will make sure that as many people as I can help are helped. So anyway, y'all, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Please come back and see me tomorrow, as it would be my pleasure to continue having a great conversation with you. Hey, Facts Not Feelings. Hope you're doing well.